12, very good.
12 good men, including
women.
a few women. Oh, that was inappropriate, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, no.
Right. Yeah. David, who's going to lead off? David? Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'll lead
Okay.
off.
Yep.
Good afternoon, councillors.
Afternoon.
I know it's late in the day, so I'll try and make this presentation as brief as I can for you. Like I normally do, I'm going to run through the high-level Auckland Council parent results. I'll highlight some achievements, a bit of a nod to Councillor Simpson, a bit of positive stuff coming through our report.
Thank you.
I will summarise some challenges that have come through, run through just 3 performance measures that kind of came to the fore during the year, and then quickly have a look at the financial performance. A lot of these issues, of course, have been canvassed as part of the annual report deliberations and in previous quarterly reports as well. So we won't dwell too much into them, but it's good to note them as we go through. So we've just got some achievements that I've pulled from the report that we've highlighted. I guess my reflection on these is often it's some of the small stuff that we do in council that as a sum make quite a big contribution. So up there we have things like the robotics process automation. I think we refer to him as Russell in the annual report, Russell the robot, which is making a lot of the repeated processes we do, it's automating them and making us far more efficient. In the efficiency vein, we've got new solar rubbish bins down south in some of our parks, which are quite clever devices.
My area too.
Oh, very good. And they compact rubbish using solar energy and then send a message when they need collecting. So it's little things like that that are making the council kind of more efficient through smarter ways of doing things. We've got the killer chickens up there from Great Barrier Island. These are chickens that we've trained to kill skinks. The eggs that the chickens lay delivered back on the Sea Link ferries to feed
the rainbow
homeless.
skinks.
No plague skinks.
Plague skinks. I think they're Australian skinks. from memory.
Australians.
So you mentioned chickens and it was just
Plague
food
skinks.
for when?
It got my attention. Yeah.
So there you go, we're killing skinks and feeding the homeless through the eggs that they lay. So it's those little things that when you read through the annual report, you'll see we featured those in little snapshots. It was a feature of our report. Often it's the smaller stuff we do that as a collective make quite a contribution to the way the city works. So I've just pulled some of those little nuggets out of the report. Just in terms of some of the challenges, I guess there are a couple of major ones that have kind of come to the fore. The first is the difficulty in recruiting staff, and we've known about the issues in the regulatory services, trying to get skilled technical staff recruited into that area, and of course that's had an impact on some of the performance measures, particularly the timeliness around processing consents, and also the satisfaction with the consenting process. So we've pulled that out as one of the key challenges. Within the regulatory services area, they are doing quite a bit of work to try and solve that. There's a new training school that's been established within that area to skill up staff and recognise that skilling up. And also we've done quite a bit of work simplifying staff recruitment processes in the area. So hopefully over time we'll see some of those recruitment difficulties easing up. Another challenge that we came up was customer satisfaction has declined with waste collection services, and that was following some quite significant service changes in that area, which has led to some teething problems. There are still some issues with waste collection services, and we are addressing those with some of our contractors, so that's been actively addressed at the moment. In terms of LTP performance measures, again, most of these performance measures have been raised during the year. I guess the 3 that come to the fore are building and resource consents processing times, which we know we missed significantly, and that resulted in a modified audit opinion across that measure. With greater QA processes in the processing area, especially in building consents, with better staff training, we've noticed a significant improvement in the processing times. I think we reached 66% at the year end. We reported 48% in our annual report. And that's just continued to improve. But that is one area where there's been a concerted effort to improve performance, and we're seeing that improvement come through. Noise complaints responded to within 30 minutes for urban areas or 60 minutes for rural areas. Again, that didn't meet target. We've talked about, so in terms of urban areas, it was 56% were done within that time frame. Again, those performance concerns were raised as part of contractor negotiations and were a factor in the renewal of some of those contracts. So again, that we expect to see an improvement in that as the new contractors do their jobs. And domestic curbside refuse per capita per annum, that target wasn't achieved as well. Again, that's a reflection of the food waste service not being implemented along the time frame that we originally expected it to be. That's now been rolled out in Papakura. It will be rolled out over the next few years across the city, and so we would expect to see that target being achieved over the next few years. So we adjusted the targets around that as part of the RTP process, so we'll track how that goes. Financial performance, in terms of the net operating surplus, as you see, we were $32 million favourable compared to budget. That was driven by operating revenue being $7 million better than the revised budgets, mainly driven by dividends that we received being up. I think we received $15 million more in dividends than we expected. Interest savings came in, sorry, that is the cost. Sorry, regulatory revenue was down, and park, sports and recreation revenue was also down, but generally we had a $7 million favourable variance there. In terms of operating expenditure, we had a positive variance of $29 million to our revised budget. Some of that was driven by staff vacancies and the savings that resulted from carrying those staff vacancies. Professional services and repairs and maintenance costs were lower, and interest costs were significantly lower as well by $18 million. So those things were driving that variance. And in terms of capital expenditure, we achieved 76% of the revised budget spend of $463 million capital expenditure for the year. So I'll take questions.
Councillor Newman.
Thank you. I don't agree with the comment about with teething issues largely resolved, satisfaction should increase in the solid waste environmental services. I think it's more than teething surfaces, there have been problems. I think that the continued preference for yellow stickering bags and delaying the removal of illegally dumped rubbish is not a strategy that's working, or certainly not in the south. And that needs to be, I've addressed that with Pearl and I will continue to do so. But I wondered if you could tell me, and if you can't, if you can come back to me, what is the quarter one result with respect to the volume of curbside waste sent to landfill in Papakura? Because that is the one part of Auckland where the food scraps scheme is now up and running, and we've been going now for a quarter, so we must have some information there about what the curbside refuse per capita result is for that quarter. Do you have any information at this time?
I don't have information at this time, but I can certainly send that through to you.
Okay, that's going to be important. Can I just end by saying that I believe that the issue around solid waste disposal will be a tough issue next year, and I would imagine that it will probably provoke debate in the next term as well, because I think there is a real strong community sentiment around this that will shape debate for the next election. Thank you.
We just need to move a resolution for extension of time. I'm happy to move it, and Councillor Simpson will second. So we need, sorry, do we need to specify the amount?
Just until the end of the,
Till
till 4 o'clock would be good.
Right. Okay, extension of time for the rest of the business on the
Yeah, I
agenda.
have to go. Yeah, me too.
Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Thank you. Right, we have Councillor Walker.
Yeah, couple of questions or issues. First off, just picking up on the question and the issues that Councillor Newman raised, I would question whether it's possible to actually apply a percentage across the region around what's happening in the waste, the recycling and the food waste space, because we're at different stages at different parts of the region. So you've really got to treat different parts separately. It may well be, for example, on the North Shore, that there's a high degree of satisfaction with wheelie bin tag system, and similarly out west, but issues elsewhere. So that's one issue. And the other comment that I'd make, as much and all as we've got a number of percentages here, one of the things that has happened over, I think, the last quarter, there was a very extensive survey around governance and related issues on Waiheke, and the results of that were quite revealing, and I don't know whether they reflect the concerns across Auckland as a whole, but they were quite alarming, I think, to the councillors around that table. I don't know that report has been made widely available. So just want to bring that to your attention. And the other observation I make is that if you look at a percentage that's really high, the highest thing is around the percentage of regional park visitors satisfied with the overall quality of their visit. And this goes to a workshop or a meeting we had this week. If there's one thing that Aucklanders get phenomenal satisfaction out of, it's regional parks, and we have zero budget for acquisition.
Councillor Simpson.
Deathly silent.
What's that, John? Deathly silence. That's it.
I just have a short comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Because, you know, we're all around this table, whilst we have discussed the group, it's the parent that actually is, in some respects, that which we are directly involved with. And this particular annual plan is the only time in the cycle that we set the budget and get the results against it. So it's really the only one that everybody here starts and finishes it. So I just want to say, and I'll keep it very short, I know that we want to go, that I'm pleased to see an improvement. I really am. Look, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, of course it's not, and we can do better. But this particular year shows that we have controlled more of our costs, reduced reliance on rates as a funding source, and improved organisational efficiency, all while delivering a record capital investment program to support Auckland's growth. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank our finance team, because without doubt it's the finance team that have really driven a lot of this, and I think the biggest performances have come from your team, and they need to be congratulated for this. So all in all, look, as I said, I think everyone can go to bed tonight, if they haven't already, knowing that we're doing better than we did last year. Still a long way to go, but we're doing better, and that's what we're all here to do, to show and see an improvement. So thanks, team, for all your work, and let's keep going on the upward incline. Thank you.
Well, I think that wraps it up. Councillor Cashmore.
Thanks. I think I heard you right. 76% of the CapEx budget delivered, is that correct?
That's right.
But isn't that less than last year? I thought it was in the 80s last year.
Yeah, one thing to watch, that's actually against revised budget, so that actually includes the carry forwards through from the previous year as well. So it's actually it's been inflated for allow for that. But it is, if you allow for the carry forwards, it actually is up on previous years. Yes, there's been a greater project delivery this year on year. Yep.
Okay, so the numbers are a little bit delusionary.
Yep.
So the other thing is the delivery of the local boards' budgets. I understand there's quite a bit of variance in some of those geographically. Commentary around that?
Feel for those? Yeah. Look, we have to come back. Look, generally it has improved. We did have, last year in particular, there was some very low ratios. So, no, it has improved generally. There's been more of a direct consultation with the local boards on the nature of which projects were going in there. We can give you a breakdown, local board by local board, if you want to see that. Yep.
Yeah, I've got that. So
You got that? Okay. Yes.
I just wonder if there's work that's been done to actually rectify some of those issues, because the variability is quite large.
True.
And I guess my last point is agreeing with Councillor Simpson, there's a lot of good news and the general graph is heading in the right direction. But we have some stark issues that are basically falling apart. It's not necessarily council's fault, but Councillor Newman is absolutely correct in the rubbish, especially littering and dumping. We're losing that battle at the moment.
Yep.
I don't believe we have to change the system, we just have to do it smarter and maybe allocate some more budget to it. And we need to advocate even stronger to Wellington for some more work around that. And the other area is the quality of some of the reseal works that's been going on our roads, particularly the rural areas. And that's also been taken up with Auckland Transport. That's going to be a pet theme of mine for this coming year. But other than that, it's heading the right way.
Excellent, right, we have a move, we have a seconder, nothing else, Kevin? No?
Well
That's it?
done.
Right, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Right.